This is Valley News Live at 6:30.
Thanks for joining us at 6:30. I'm Justin Betty. A scary morning for DGF parents. The school went into lockdown. We can now tell you everyone is safe. Dilworth police were investigating a shots fired incident this morning, which prompted that lockdown. Witnesses say they heard multiple gunshots fired by what they believe to be a light-skinned black man, 20 to 30 years old, with a handgun near 208 5th Street Northwest. That's near the school. Police found several casings and searched surrounding apartments and homes. No evidence of an altercation or any danger to the public. Police say it looks like the man was possibly target shooting at the time. In the weather department, blue skies right now and some fairly mild temperatures. Let's send things over to meteorologist Jim Gash with some details. Jim?
Justin, that's right. We have a pretty lovely evening on our hands right now, but things will be changing as we head into tomorrow. But first, let's look at these nice conditions. Most of the area currently sitting in the 40s. However, a few places right up and down the I-29 corridor are sitting in the 50s. Fargo, Sisseton, both at 51, Grand Forks at 50. And a look at the satellite and radar shows not much of concern. There is some rain down to our south and west outside of our area, and it's going to stay that way, but it did bring some clouds for some folks in the Southern Valley. Now, an update on that flood situation. Most of those rivers across the area have crested. We're still watching some places in the Northern Valley, including the Red River in Oslo, Drayton, as well as Pembina, and the Cheyenne River near Lisbon. Now, we're not expecting any more additional significant rises to those crests. Now, we will keep you updated as we are going to see some precipitation move into the area later on this week, which will prolong those high river levels, but things are looking mostly in the clear now, though. The Red River in Pembina on its way up into that moderate flooding category. Now, Justin, I'll have more information on what we can expect with that precipitation on the way coming up in a couple of minutes.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thanks, Jim. In a historic move today, the Minnesota House of Representatives passed a bill legalizing recreational marijuana use in the state. 72 to 61 vote. The bill would allow adults over the age of 21 to possess marijuana in Minnesota. Valley News Team's Reed Gregory joins us now live in studio with more on what's in this bill and what it means for the state. Reed?
Justin, that's absolutely correct. And while this marks a significant step forward in the state's legislation efforts, remember, as of now, nothing is official. The bill still needs to pass through the Senate and be signed into law by Governor Tim Walz. However, supporters of the legislation are optimistic about its chances, pointing to the growing support for marijuana legalization across the country. Proponents of legalization argue it would generate significant revenue for the state, as well as reduce arrests and incarcerations related to marijuana. Opponents of the bill are arguing, however, that it could lead to increased drug use and impaired driving. They also raise concerns about the impact of marijuana on young people and whether legalization could lead to increased access for minors. They also say that people don't truly understand how the marijuana business operates.
It's a for-profit industry like Altria Philip Morris that is investing billions of dollars in the marijuana industry, and they could care less about social equity. They could care less about records being expunged. You don't need money and legalizing marijuana to expunge records. You need political will.
And as the bill moves through the legislative process, supporters and opponents will likely continue to debate the merits of legalization. However, it's clear that the tide is turning when it comes to marijuana policy. Justin?
All right, thanks, Reed. We'll have more on this bill coming up and how it's moving through the legislature coming up tonight on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. Meanwhile, it is Severe Weather Awareness Week. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum declaring that today in the state. Officials using it as an opportunity to keep communities informed and remind them of potential risks of summer storms, which they say can produce lightning, damaging winds, hail, flooding, fires, and more. They also cause injury and death in some circumstances, as well as extensive property damage. They're asking you to take this week to familiarize yourself with the difference between a storm or tornado watch versus a warning when one has been spotted. Cass Fargo Emergency Management is taking part in a statewide tornado drill this week, doing a full system test of its outdoor siren warning system in the county tomorrow. Sirens will go off at 11:15 a.m. The county is urging you again to run through your tornado drills at the time, practice sheltering plans. It's an outdoor system, so you may not hear the sirens indoors. You may not even hear them really at all during an actual event. There's high winds or other weather conditions, but officials recommend you sign up for Cass Clay alerts, which you'll get on your phone. You can do that going to this story under the news tab at valleynewslive.com. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other local officials met today to talk about the state's spring flood preparations. Walz says there is no extensive damage so far to homes or structures in the state.
And we now get this little lull between the last rains over the weekend and where we're seeing over the next 10 to 14 days an opportunity to be right at the heart of this and to get a better idea for folks maybe where this lands.
As we told you, a lot of the rivers have already crested or are cresting in Minnesota. Those that haven't should be doing so over the next few days. After yet another motorcycle crash over the weekend put one local man in the hospital, motorcyclists across the Red River Valley are pleading with drivers to be more aware of those on two wheels. That crash happened Sunday evening just after 6 in Fargo. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley spoke with those who were riding with the victim at the time of the crash, as well as local safety experts who say enough is enough.
Motorcyclists have been on the roads in North Dakota for less than a month, but there's already been more than a handful of serious or fatal crashes. And riders in the valley say the number of close calls is even higher.
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
30 or 40 so far this year on my own.
The drivers, they're not used to seeing us.
Justin Berg says he was riding with 22-year-old Elijah Brown Sunday when Brown crashed into the side of a large van. And while Fargo police say Brown's actions, quote, may have contributed to the crash, Berg doesn't agree.
We saw the guy start to come out, stop, hesitate, and then he pulled forward anyways and blocked up both lanes and gave Elijah nowhere to go. It's something that shouldn't have happened.
As we head into warmer days, all three riders urge vehicle drivers to keep a few things in mind when on the road. Stay off your phone, check your blind spots, and be on high alert at intersections.
Look twice and look again. And a third time if need be. I mean, you have to be aware.
Honadel emphasizes for motorcyclists to ride as if you're not seen and preaches the acronym ATGAT.
All the gear, all the time. Be prepared. You know, dress for the crash, not for the ride.
If you're going to wear flip-flops and shorts, fine, but at least wear your helmet. That's the biggest thing at the end of the day.
All three emphasizing it's important for everyone to step up the safety of their driving and pay better attention this summer before more lives are lost. Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Experts say safety classes reduce the likelihood of crashes up to 70%, even for the most experienced riders. They reinforce safety measures some may have forgotten or may not know. We have linked to some of those classes as well as a GoFundMe for Elijah Brown's medical expenses on our website as well as under the VNL News app. This time of year, many North Dakotans would like to be looking at tulips or other colorful flowers popping up out of the ground. Instead, we're seeing more of a more common perennial in North Dakota, orange cones. Interstates and highways prepping for months of maintenance or repair. North Dakota DOT says they have 3 big projects scheduled for this construction season, which is in line with other years.
I would say that's pretty standard. In the past, the recent years, we've been putting a lot of funding into our 2-lane roadways. So our interstates, we're seeing a few less projects, but a lot of interstate projects coming here in the next couple of years.
DOT officials are cautioning drivers to anticipate travel delays, say to slow down when approaching a work zone, leave plenty of space between you and the car in front of you, and don't pass on the shoulder of the road. Muscatel Subaru is making a huge donation, more than $22,000 to Hospice of the Red River Valley for Subaru's Share the Love event. From November 17th to January 3rd, customers were able to donate the charity of their choice when buying a car. And for those who chose Hospice, Muscatel donated another $50,000 in all. Hospice officials say they are grateful for the community's generosity.
It is the most generous, and I'm going to say what drew me here is how helpful and kind and wonderful the people are that live here. And they truly take care of their friends, neighbors, and their loved ones.
Hospice of the Red River Valley says the money will go towards a new hospice house for their patients. Still ahead at 6:30, Bed Bath & Beyond is closing all of its doors this time, including the store in Fargo. We'll tell you when next.
And here in Fargo, we're going to see a pretty steep cool-off this evening as we have those clear skies, at least until later on, closer toward morning, when we see temperatures reach into the 30s. And up in Grand Forks, a similar situation, except they're going to have some cloudy skies all night. We'll have details on that round of rain coming up next.
This is Valley News Live.